Today we hear something in the gospel that we've learned in Bible study on Thursdays, that the Jews had a lot of laws. This was one of the big laws. If you were caught in adultery, whether you were a man or a woman, it really didn't matter, that you would be stoned. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a worse death than people throwing stones at you until you croaked? That's going to be probably the most crazy death that you want to experience. It's not like the electric chair where you're done like that, or lethal injection where you fall asleep, or any other ways of dying, maybe being shot. This is a crazy death when you think of it by stoning. I was thinking of it this morning, and oh my God, this is a real crazy way to go if you've got to go. You notice, though, that Jesus takes that law that we learned in the Old Testament, and he adds a caveat to it. That caveat says, "He who among you who is without sin, let him grab the first stone and throw it." Jesus does something very, very odd today. Very odd. And the Gospels don't really go into it. Did you catch it? What he did that was very odd? He wrote in the dirt. What the heck did he write in the dirt? What did he write? Well, years ago I listened to a homily by Father Claude. And Father Claude said what he was writing in the dirt was the sins of the Pharisees by name. Marcus, also adultery. Stephen, murder of your brother. He was writing their sins, and they saw it. And they looked and they realized, oh my God, this guy is more than we think. And they started dropping the stones. And some of them didn't give up, you'll see. They still wanted her dead. They wanted to have some fun. They wanted to kill her. And they wanted to put this under the law and say, this is for the law. And Jesus, you'll notice, goes down again and starts writing more, twice. Not only once, but twice he starts writing. And I think he was writing for the ones that stepped up, that still wanted her dead. And he's writing their sins as well on the ground. This is speculation, but what else would he be writing when you think of it? What else would he be writing? That would really, really do it. For that woman, he saved that woman's life. Jesus saved that woman's life. And she will go on and live on. She's lived on 2018 years in history. We're still talking about her this morning. And throughout the world, the church is giving the same homily today. We're never going to forget this woman. This woman was very special. She finished her life. And hopefully she didn't go back to adultery. I don't think she did. This was a turning point for her. This was like, well, I gotta get going here and get things in order. This week also, I went to Home Depot. I had one day where I was feeling pretty good, so I went to Home Depot. We got a couple of things, and I noticed a change in the air this week. I don't know if you've noticed it. That change in the air this week was spring has sprung, as they say. It's getting a little bit warmer. I think everyone's got a back injury probably because of it, and because of the temperature fluctuations. I don't know. But things have changed. The cycles have changed. The winter is pretty much behind us. We'll get a cold day once in a while. But that's pretty much gone. And that circle, you notice, life is like a circle. For that woman in the gospel today, her life was a circle. She went through her whole life. She committed adultery, but she was going to continue on. That circle was not going to stop there because Jesus put an end to her murder. It was murder. But her life continued in the circle. If we look at our lives, very circular. The circle of life, very circular. Right now, we're getting ready for Easter. We have Easter every year. We have Christmas every year. We have Hanukkah every year. We have Passover every year. It's a big circle, that circle of life. And it starts, and once it ends, we end it at the end of the ordinary time when we start Advent. Our circle begins again around Advent and keeps going through the year. Many religions also have this idea of a circle in them. If you look at the Buddhists, if you've ever had a chance, I wish we were talking about it, Michelle and I, where I think Michael might have seen it, where the Buddhists come to Providence, the Tibetan Buddhists, and they do a mandala. It's a circle of life. And they make it out of sand, very fine sand. And when you look at it, it's like this rug, the circular rug here. You can't believe that these guys, by hand, with sand, not painting or anything, would do, and it's quite large. And you would say, well, God, if you breathed on it, the sand would move. And many of them are so quiet when they're doing this that not even the sand moves. But that mandala is the circle of life. When they were finished with it in Providence, they brought the mandala down into the water. Providence years ago was very icky city, very bad. And they put it into the river. And within a year of them putting it into the river, Buddy Cianci, God bless his soul, changed the whole scheme of Providence, where we have fire, and they connected the rivers back together. They put in non-pollution things. It's the cleanest water in Providence now flowing through that river. And people go in the summer on Saturday night to see that. And I believe that mandala that they put into the water, and in those days you didn't even want to go down. It was prostitutionality where they put it into the water. And I believe that mandala, that circle of life, changed things for Providence in a big way. It blessed Providence in a big way. If we look at the saints, we'll see a mandala, right? We see the circle of life around each saint, and we sometimes look at it and go, oh, that's a picture, oh, that's Mark. But we have to look at the angels, that mandala of holiness, that circle of life, that circle of holiness. The Aztecs also have the circle of life. Throughout the world, whatever religion you are, the circle is so important because it gives us that whole circle of life that we go through in our lifetime. You might be at the beginning, like these guys here, they're pretty much, Hunter turned 12 yesterday. They're at the beginning of the circle, right? They're just starting their walk down the yellow brick road. God knows where it's going to end, right? God only knows where it's going to end. Some of us are more than midway in the circle of life. We're probably around here. One never knows when one's going to go. Some of us may be a little bit further on. But that circle of life continues. With Christianity, that circle of life never ends. So we have a great thing where at our death, that circle continues, hopefully with the beatific vision of God, seeing God finally face to face. We know him now, as St. Paul says, is in a mirror, cloudy, like through a cloudy, smoky glass. We can see him, we can understand Christ a little bit, but our brains are not wired to understand fully yet. Only our souls will see the beatific vision of God one day. Once in a while, though, here on earth, we do get a glimpse You might go to a retreat and have an epiphany. You go, oh my God, that's what it's all about. Or you might just go to Home Depot and see all the flowers and realize, oh my God, it's spring. The circle of life continues. With Jesus, the circle of life continues this week with his passion. That passion is a circle of life. We celebrate it every year, the passion. Through the stations of the cross, really very circular. Very circular, we go around. When you're a kid coloring, circles are probably the first thing that you learn how to do. And some squares, rectangles, triangles, but the circle is in everyone's consciousness. Look this week at your lives and that circle that's in it, your circle of life. And the beauty of being Christian is that your circle and my circle and Hunter's circle and Fatima's circle and Serenity's circle, we all come together in that circle together. It's not just an independent circle. This is my circle of life. Yeah, it's yours, but it's also everyone. Everyone is on that path and on that circle. And you guys who are very, very young, sometimes it gets a little rocky on that ride, right? We start off and everything, when you're young, everything is a dream. And why we love kids, I think, and why we love young people so much is because we see in them what we had in us at one time. We see that goodness. We see the innocence of when they look at something new. It's like they've never seen it before. And they've never seen it before because they're on that circle of life, exploring things, finding things out for the first time. Don't lose that childishness in your own life. Keep some of it by looking at younger people and have a little bit of fun with them on their circle of life, because all of our circles are interconnected. Amen?